Hi, everyone. Hi, Evan. How are you on this warm day?
It's another warm and humid day, but I'm just glad the sun is out and the sky is blue.
Yes, I just hope it doesn't rain too much tomorrow. I let myself get talked into competing in a ultimate frisbee tournament all day tomorrow.
Oh,
So
oh,
I
you're
hope it doesn't rain because
you're
when
quite
it rains, it gets miserable.
you're quite the athlete, Brigitte.
I try. This is going to be funny. Listen, we've had a week, and let's get this one out of the way because I know you want to talk about this. I did this video a few days earlier in the week. I thought I was the only one who really was still bothered by Wellington Street and how it got reopened to cars. I use big quotes because I like to say that a street should be open to people and not to cars. But anyway, that's a different issue. And this was 3 years ago that the decision
Not
was
long
made,
ago.
put back.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, three and a half actually. It was done in January or February 2023. And I just put this out there, and I think it's one of my most popular pieces on my
Yeah.
website. The video is 7.5 minutes long, and it's racked up over 12 hours of viewing time. And I promise you, it wasn't me doing reload, reload, reload. It hit a nerve.
It definitely hit a nerve. As I told you, I'd love it if 10,000 Ottawans watched your video. That's a kind of politically significant number to get up. So I hope it
Mhm.
has some legs. It has some virality to it. It clearly came from the heart. You told me that you don't use a teleprompter. It was so
I don't.
fluid.
Yeah,
It was so
yeah.
fluidly delivered. I almost thought, wow, this is just yeah, it's so natural, so
I've,
authentic.
I've been
And
doing television for a long, long time, and
yes,
like over 20 years, and I
yeah,
never use teleprompt. I hate reading on the screen because I feel like I'm doing
yes,
this.
yeah.
So I don't like doing this. So I just learn my scripts and I speak from the heart or sometimes the mind. I
Yeah.
try to be, yeah, try to be
It's
real. And
it's
this is it.
amazing, and you do it in both official languages. So
We
that's even another level of amazing. So
Okay, now I'm gonna
congratulations.
blush. So thank you. But so I'm gonna put the link in the show notes for this one. So if people want to go and see the video and crank up my numbers, that'd be great. But the point that I wanted to make with this video, and
Please.
this is where I think that it matters, is that when the decision was made to reopen Wellington, so this was a stretch of about 500 meters in front of Parliament buildings where the trucks had been during the occupation. And of course, once they removed the truck, they shut this down, saying, we don't want any more trucks parking there, right? Understandably enough. So at first, nothing was done except to put big concrete barriers to prevent any vehicles from parking there. And then that's it. Nothing else was done for well over a year. Nothing was done to make this space into, you know what, if we're not going to have vehicles on it, might as well have, I don't know, benches, a cafe, something like something for people to, even games that you just throw a couple of hoops, or you throw, I don't know, those games where you throw that little
Sack,
pouch of sand, yeah,
pouch.
the sack
Yeah,
into the thing, or like even chalk on the
yeah.
pavement, like, and nothing was done. Literally nothing was done. And then the authorities looked at that and said, well, nobody's using the space. So might as well put cars back on it. And I thought this is so representative of the way that Mayor Mark Sutcliffe makes decisions. And this was early in his mandate, three
Yes.
and a half years ago, that he went with the least imaginative, easiest, low investment possibility of all the possibilities that there were. He tried nothing. It didn't work, went back to what it was before. And I remember thinking of and I forget who I told this to, and probably convenient for them because no, they can't, I don't know, I can't badger them about it. But I remember thinking, if that's how he makes decisions, this is a one-term mayor. Now, I could be wrong,
Yes.
but if I'm not wrong, I think that's going to be one of the big reasons why.
One of the big reasons. Well, it's first of all, just to give people context. The convoy was in what months? Which the
January, February 2022,
that's right, January, February 2022, and then it was closed
for
after
about a year and a bit. Yeah, yeah.
for a year and a bit.
For,
Yeah.
mhm.
So just a good reminder to people, and we'll keep coming back to this in the show over the coming weeks and months, is that in our first past the post winner take all system, as you know, Mark Sutcliffe can win. The incumbent mayor can win, just like prime ministers have won and premiers have
Mhm.
won
Mhm.
with 32, 30, 31, 32, 33% of the vote.
That's right.
So,
Especially in a four-way race.
yeah, especially, sorry, and that's
Mm-hmm.
the other qualifier, and
Mm-hmm.
especially in a four-way race where nobody
Mm-hmm.
drops out, where there's no incentive for any of the four candidates to drop out.
Yeah.
And then the math is just the math, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then the incumbent can squeeze through, maintain their incumbency advantage, and then come out at the other end as reelected with 30, anywhere from 31 to
Mm-hmm.
34%.
Yeah. And all the messages I got after this video came out from people saying, yes, me too. I was really annoyed and I'm still annoyed by that and so on. If you really care about it, make sure you tell your friends, right, that they can go and vote so that you can help yourself. Because otherwise, yeah, you're right. The math is working for a reelection of Mark Sutcliffe and more unimaginative decisions. So if
Yeah.
that's what
So
you want,
no,
great.
no. So people have to hear you, and then they have to be aware of the implications that the rationale may be there to change the mayor, but there are structural constraints, and
Hmm.
especially if we are moving into a four-way, it may right now into a four-way race right until the finish.
Yeah, so we want to talk about all of the
Yep.
four big ones today, but let's start with Mark Sutcliffe, who will be having, I think he's really launching his campaign and
Yes.
at the end of August, right after his mayor's barbecue, which is in Canada, the Rich
Yeah.
Craft something something. And he's released also an ad, I believe, I saw it for the first time just a few days ago, very much geared towards affordability issues. Like
Always.
there's a grocery cart and there's like
Yes. Always.
houses and things like that and talking about like straight out of Jim Watson's playbook.
Absolutely.
Times are tough, cost of living is high. He's right, and yes, people feel that. um the only and I'm paraphrasing what he's saying, but the message in the video is times are tough enough. The only responsible thing to do as an elected representative is make sure we don't add to your costs.
Yes.
So that's why he's promising to keep taxes low, tax increases as low as they can be. And when you and I had this exchange on social networks about this, and you say this is straight out of Jim Watson's playbook. And of course, it worked brilliantly for Jim
Yes.
Watson
Of course.
until Jim Watson stepped down. And it worked for Mark Sutcliffe last time, too. The question is this still Jim Watson's Ottawa? I don't know the answer to that question.
I think it's
We'll know soon.
we'll know
But
soon.
yeah, if it is, then he's got exactly the right tone. And if it's not, then he's got exactly the
It's like
wrong tone. I think it's one of those, like it's a black and white question. Like he's either bang on or he's completely off.
right. So yes, the ghost of Jim. Jim hasn't passed yet. He's still here.
I
So
know
it's
the
just
ghost. Well, but his political ghost
his
is
political
hovering
his
over the
political
city.
ghost has been hanging over Mark
Yeah.
Sutcliffe for 4 years,
Hmm.
and continues into
Yeah.
the campaign.
Hmm.
And if as we expect, the new council will not be new at all,
Hmm.
almost exactly the same as the old council. I think you could make the case, as you were suggesting, that this is a Watson Sutcliffe council. I
Hmm.
don't think you would be wrong.
For better or worse, if
For
that's
better or
what
worse,
people want, that's what people want.
and if that's what 34%, 31%, whatever it takes to get to be reelected, if that's what they want, then you will get that outcome.
I think that's going to be my main slogan for the rest of this campaign. If that's what you want, then you'll get it. I
Well,
just big
clearly,
if,
you
right?
know,
So yeah,
Bridget, in our first past the post system, a majority or a small
plurality, I
majority
guess. Yeah,
may
yeah.
not want it, but in our first past the post winner take all system, the plurality wins, and so you could have
People need to go out and vote, though. That's the thing. Yeah.
six
So
out of
it's
10 Ottawa
mm,
voters may not want Mark Sutcliffe to be their mayor, and yet he may be their mayor. Yes.
right. Okay. Moving on.
Moving on.
My buddy in the Ottawa Citizen, Mohammed Adam, has a column this week saying, "Are you ready?" Again, I'm paraphrasing because I read it, I promise, but then I forget the exact headline. But are you ready for Mayor Alex Lawson? And I thought, okay, I think maybe we're going a little fast there,
But,
Mohammed. Like
but
whatever. Like,
okay.
yeah, let's go.
Okay, but before we get there,
Yeah.
can we talk about Jeff? quote unquote.
Sure. Let's talk about Jeff first.
Because I think that's the segue into Lawson.
All right.
So, Bridget, what do you think about Jeff at this juncture of the campaign, past the halfway point?
You know what? I will say that, and I
And
put
I
my
know you
cards on
know
the
Jeff,
table
so
about
I
this.
know you know
I
Jeff.
know them all,
Yeah, you know
but
Jeff.
I don't know. No, sorry, that's slightly wrong. I don't know Alex Lawson personally, but I know the other three personally, and I've known them for a while, and I like all three actually as individuals, as persons, and I like Jeff as a politician. I don't know that he's connecting. I don't know that his campaign is getting the reaction he was hoping for. It could also be that it's getting it, we're just not seeing it. Sometimes there are sleeper campaigns
Yes.
that are
Yep.
very quiet. People don't see them coming, and then they come at the very end, and
Sure.
boom, they overwhelm everyone.
Yep.
I hope for his sake that that's what's happening. I saw the excitement at his campaign event when I was there last week. The people who support him, who talk to me, are really keen, really knowledgeable. They care. They're really engaged. Similarly to Neil Saravanamatu's campaign folks. Um, Funnily enough, the Mark Sutcliffe's people don't talk to me very much these days. I'm still here, guys. You have my number. So I like that they're very engaged. I just don't know that it's connecting with the sea of folks in Ottawa who vote. It may still be too early for that, but I'm starting to worry a little bit.
I think people are starting. So, you've given a very, I say, fair, positive portrait of Jeff in the campaign at this point. I'm not going to go Corey tonight on Jeff.
We have enough of one Corey. That's fine. We're good.
I'm not going to go Corey tonight. I'm not going to drop any f bombs or anything like that. But I will say that I'm disappointed.
Mm.
I was thinking about this in the context of you as the athlete. As an athlete, a very competitive sports figure in your own right. And I was thinking that Jeff, for somebody whose campaign says we've been preparing this for a year, Jeff strikes me as hitting that he hit the ground walking rather than
Mm.
running.
Ouch.
Ouch. And I mean that, and I want to be fair about it, but I just feel, and then this, in the context of Catherine McKenney's email this week.
What was Catherine McKenney's email this week? You're gonna have to
That
tell the
was
folks about this because I didn't see that one.
the Sutcliffe campaign, one of Sutcliffe, the co-chair of Mark Sutcliffe's campaign, shared on social media. And this was the Leaper camp, I think, is opening the door to their worry room
Ah,
because Catherine said in the email that progressives in the city have to unite.
oh,
Yes,
are they not united?
they are. I don't think they are united. I don't know what you're hearing, but what I'm hearing is that
Mm-hmm.
not, and I've used this expression before in one of my columns, not everybody in the progressive community in Ottawa is on the Jeff Leaper bus.
Mm-hmm.
Again, surprising. And wondering where some of these endorsements are going to come from. Can Jeff Leaper's campaign get an endorsement of somebody who is widely respected and very centrist rather than
Mm-hmm.
progressive?
Mm-hmm.
Wondering whether those endorsements are coming. I don't think, and I'd like to get your take on this. I feel that if I looked at Jeff, Alex, and Neil, when you and I see Neil at his events, he's loose. He's enjoying himself.
He's very relaxed. Yeah.
He's very relaxed.
Yes. So is Jeff, I have to say.
Do you,
I found him.
find
That's
Jeff,
how he is.
okay.
But that's how he is.
Okay, you know Jeff. I don't know,
Yeah.
but when I see him in a more formal setting, he seems stiff. He doesn't
Yeah.
seem to be in. He seems out of. It's like he hasn't found his rhythm. Maybe he finds his rhythm when he sees us in a pub, in around people that are supporting him, but he doesn't seem to have a comfort level in the rhythm. And it's interesting. These things are you just kind of they're intangible. The voters pick it up, and I think they've picked it up already. that he's not a figure that will galvanize support. People aren't drawn. I'm not talking about the 25%
Mhm.
of progressives
No,
across
you mean just the vibe that he gives
the
off,
vibe.
right? As a politician, he's
It's
no Bill Clinton. He
no,
does
no, no.
not have. He walks into a room, nobody's turning. Say, who
Put
just
it,
walked in?
let me put it to you
That's
another
fair.
way. How does Jeff get from 25 to 35 to become mayor? I think that is going to be extremely difficult in the current context, the way people are feeling about Jeff. I received a text message yesterday. I can't read it out verbatim, or obviously the person is anonymous, and they just talked about he doesn't strike them as a charismatic figure. He is not energizing that additional 10%. I'm not talking about the people we see
Hmm.
at his events, the 100 people, the
Hmm.
80 people.
Right. Hmm.
These are on board. They're on the Jeff Leaper
Right.
bus.
You
They're never
you
going to
you
get
want
off.
growth, and the people
Yeah,
who are not already there. Yeah.
I'm talking about the ten points he needs to add
Mhm.
to be able to become mayor.
Okay, I'll
And
answer
then
that question, but I also want to talk about charisma and how important it is
yeah,
because neither of the four have it, as far as I can tell.
okay,
I have not seen Alex Lawson work a room, to be
right,
fair.
okay,
And I'm looking forward to seeing that. I want to see how he connects with people and
sure,
whether or not he has that jelly, that thing that
yeah,
makes people like want to hear him, want to
no,
listen to him. Mark Sutcliffe has zero charisma.
I
He's
agree.
got no riz. The
I
boy
but
has no riz.
but
Well, and Jeff and even Neil. Neil is relaxed. You're right that
yeah,
he's relaxed, but he has the relaxed feel of a guy who knows he's almost last,
right.
or is actually last. Well, not like compared to the
The
ones
fourth
behind him,
candidate, the fourth
but
candidate.
he's number four in a four-way race.
Right, okay.
Of course, he's relaxed, right? He's got not
So
much to lose.
that's an important qualifier
Yeah,
that you can't single out Jeff for lacking charisma when the three other candidates don't exude charisma.
right.
Um, and I will grant you that.
Yeah.
But maybe what I will tell you is that Jeff, of all of the candidates, needs that additional umph or gel, the royal jelly, the whatever it is, to be
Mm-hmm.
that political athlete,
Mm.
to
Yeah.
use that metaphor, to get
Yeah.
to the low 30s to
Okay,
be
I'll throw
competitive.
something out there for you to be to think to
And
chew on for the next one. I know I'm cutting you off because that one's important.
yeah,
Women, and here's the thing about charisma, and there this is a more of a general kind of the world we're in right now.
yes,
A guy like Donald Trump is scary to a lot of women. A guy like Pierre Poilievre, who did connect with people at
with
the
his base,
before the
with his
with
base.
even before that, he had a lot of attraction to people while Justin Trudeau was still the guy that we were comparing him to. And then eventually Mark Carney showed up. And Mark Carney does not have as he's not no Bill Clinton. Like he's not that kind of politician, but he has he's safe when you're especially to women voters,
Yes,
he's a safe grown up and a safe, responsible, reasonable grown up who knows what he's doing and that you can trust, who will drive you home at night and not get you lost somewhere. I know I'm going into stereotypes, but bear with me.
sure.
This is at the back of the minds of a lot of voters, especially in the times we're in with all the chaos that we have all over everywhere. And you want a candidate that does not surprise you. Won't throw something that will destabilize you. You can kind of predict what he or she, especially if it's a man, you want to be able to predict what he's going to be doing. And on that score, Mark Sutcliffe, Jeff Leaper, and Neil Saravanamuthu they're safe, like completely, they feel like safe that women can, like nothing here is going to happen that will surprise them. Alex Lawson, a little less so, mostly because he's younger and he's also unknown to most
Right, right.
people. So we don't really know him. So he's not scary or anything, but there's not that extra layer of safety with him that you have with the other three. So when you talk about charisma, and you're right, like historically and in a classic campaign, this would be a big difference. But in this campaign, I don't think it's going to be as important as all that for what I just mentioned. And also because neither of the three really has it more than
Right.
the others.
So I think we're in agreement on that,
Okay.
except that somebody like Jeff, the runner-up,
Yeah.
um, has to offer a quality that sets him apart.
Yep.
Because if you did an A/B test, uh, Mark Sutcliffe, who would you rather prefer for safety? Mark Sutcliffe or Jeff Leeper, I think most people in suburban and rural wards having kind of more familiarity with Sutcliffe, just on that basis of recognition alone, would go for Sutcliffe. So
Hmm.
Leeper has to bring something different. That's why I always
That's
come
right.
back to this notion of contrast. What is it? What is different about Leeper that would catapult him ahead or just get him across the line before the mayor? Um, so campaigns typically a campaign, pretty well have three strategies. You're either going to promote your candidate as in a positive campaign, you're going to denigrate your opponent, you're trying to burn your opponent, the negative campaign, or you're going to try to expand your voting pool. So these are the 40,000 irregular voters I keep on talking about, including your children. Um, right? So that to me, if Jeff Leeper can't take Mark Sutcliffe down a negative campaign, clearly he doesn't want to do that. He wants to maintain a positive campaign, which means here I'm rolling out my latest policy proposal. Look at what I'm trying to do to fix the city, etc. If
Hmm.
that doesn't work, Jeff Leeper or any candidate in that position that he's in has to try to expand the voter pool and add tens of thousands of new
Hmm.
voters who wouldn't normally vote in October. But the Leaper campaign has been so successful in mobilizing these irregular voters that they show up at the polls unexpectedly on October 26th and
Yeah.
give Jeff the win. That would be like a complete upset
That would
because
be the sleeper
it'll be
campaign that
the
I was
sleeper,
talking
as you
about earlier.
said, Bridget.
Yeah.
It will be the sleeper. It will not have been picked up by the internal polling done by the other
No,
campaigns. It
because
will,
these younger people don't answer the phone.
right?
They don't, yeah,
And
they're
maybe,
outside.
and would be perhaps not have been picked up by David Valentin's public poll.
Yeah, that's what
So,
I'm thinking. If this is what happens, that's how it's going to happen. That's what
so,
I'm thinking.
so,
And on that note, I just want to say that there are a lot of young people volunteering on Jeff Leeper's campaign, more than that I've seen on Neil Saravan and Mutu's campaign.
yes.
I've not really seen a lot of volunteers of any sort with the Alex Lawson campaign. So tell me, guys, again, you have my number, like talk to me. Um, uh, so we'll see about that. But you forgot one thing about
Okay.
how they can differentiate and how a candidate, say if you're Jeff Leeper in second position,
Sure.
how you can catapult ahead
Yes.
of the incumbent, the debates.
Okay. You're putting, okay, we haven't talked about the debates
We have
yet.
not, and
No.
we don't need to talk
No.
because we're going to run out of time today. But just to keep at the
Yes.
back of people's minds watching this, remember there are debates, and in debates, things can turn around really quickly if you've got the right button. And now, if I were running in second place and I knew I had a button, I had
Yeah.
something to
Yeah.
hit that would catapult me ahead, I wouldn't be wasting it in August right now.
I agree with you.
Right.
And
So
thank you for raising the debates. Since you've been watching Ottawa municipal politics far longer than I, can you recall any municipal mayoral debate which caused a change in the mood of the city as a result of the debate? Anything? Do you recall any?
yeah, Larry O'Brien and his train back in the day, that didn't go well for him. But in the last one, I think Mark Sutcliffe used the debate very quiet. He didn't have a punch, a
Yeah,
KO punch or any of
you had
that.
a
I mean,
choice, sir.
this
He didn't have a. You
no,
had
no,
a
there was
choice,
none
sir.
of that moment, but he very much used, and it was very subtle, but it worked. He was just a guy who was like almost like, okay, Catherine, like, oh, again, there you go again, Catherine. It's kind of like the Ronald Reagan. I don't know if you remember that one. Is Ronald Reagan against whoever it was on the Democratic side at some point who was excitable, and then there's Ronald Reagan. Say, there you go
Yeah,
again,
there you go again.
right?
That's right. That's right.
So Mark Sutcliffe had very much that energy, and Catherine was trying to score points. And if you watched with the sound off and didn't know any of the candidates, you would have thought Catherine's kind of excitable, and Mark
Yeah.
is like, there you go again. And that really worked for Mark Sutcliffe last time around. I don't think that's going to work against Jeff Leeper because, as you've noted, neither of these guys has a lot of hits. So nobody's going to like try and be like me and talking with their hands or any of that. So I think
You
it
use
will
that
come
word.
down.
You use the Riz word. Not
I know I have teenagers. What can I say? It's
this is
it's
or
rubbing off on
fire.
me.
Or we're not using words like fire and
Not yet.
riz.
So quickly, let's talk about Alex Lawson because
Yeah.
he's
Now
done.
we can
Yeah,
segue
yeah.
into the
Never
rest.
mind the Mohammed's column. People can go read it if they want. But Alex did a video speaking in Gen Z language,
Yeah.
which was kind of cute, trying to get young people interested in his campaign. What do you think? I mean, neither of us, we were not the target audience for this, but like still.
I think, correct me if I'm wrong, is this the first video directed by a mayoral candidate at young people
It's
specifically? I think it
in
is.
Ottawa, I believe it is.
I
Yeah,
believe it is. So
yeah.
again, we go back to the theory of the theory of campaigns is that the juice ain't worth the squeeze to try to go after young people, young voters,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that's a mistake,
Mm-hmm. I agree.
particularly for the Leaper, both the Leaper campaign. Clearly, Lawson thinks he's going to make some inroads there, but particularly for Leaper. So one has to expect that his campaign manager, Stephen Yardy, has a plan, is executing a plan to reach out to younger voters. You and I have now both been observers at canvasses, and so
I'm not sorry, no, not a canvas. I've
well,
just been to
when
events
I
so
was
far. Yeah.
out earlier last weekend, this past weekend, at the doors, and there were usually a lot of multi generational
Mm-hmm.
families, and the canvasser would ask whether there's a younger member of the household. They would
Good.
initiate a conversation to encourage the parents, the aunts, the uncles, whoever was
Mm-hmm.
the
Get your kid to
older
vote.
adult in the home,
Mm.
because I see 5 or 6 names again, at one address. So we would encourage them, or the canvasser would encourage them to vote. And in
Hmm.
that case, you want to touch using a marketing term. You want to communicate with that residence
Yeah.
twice. Come
Make
back,
contact. That's right.
make
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
secondary contact. And so
Yeah.
yeah, so I thought I congratulated Alex Lawson's campaign for putting that out there. And one thing I like, there's a little bit of humor there.
Hmm.
Maybe that's what I find lacking in
Yeah.
Jeff, and
Stop taking yourself so seriously.
yeah,
Relax.
yeah, relax.
Laugh.
That Jeff
Yeah.
doesn't have enough. Even if he's a humorous guy, and you would know if he is,
No, he is. Yeah.
he is okay. He doesn't exude that really on the campaign, and you
Yeah.
can be both policy serious and sardonic and funny as the situation requires.
All right.
Um,
Let that be our suggestion to Jeff
yeah,
Leeper today. Chill.
chill.
Yeah.
No need.
Be like, do this before you go and like just maybe have half a beer or something before you go somewhere sometimes,
But
just to
but
loosen up a little bit.
but Bridget, let's not lose sight of that. If I'm assuming it's a genuine email that the
Hmm.
Sutcliffe campaign put out from Catherine, attributed to Catherine McKenney, and for them to call for progressives in Ottawa to unite. So I would say that that's an indicator that the reality is sinking in a four-way
Mm.
race. That and I've said from the beginning that Neil Saravanamuttu was, to quote Tom Clancy thriller novels, was a clear is a clear and present danger for
Mm.
the Leaper campaign, and they're just going to have to address this issue now. I'll be doing a column on that in a couple of weeks, but yes, there's no way that Bridget, do you think that Neil has any incentive to drop out the way Larry O'Brien, not Larry O'Brien, the way Terry Kilray did in 2006?
Oh wow, that was a long time ago, and I don't
So he
recall
dropped
that
out.
campaign. But yeah,
Kilray
I
dropped
don't.
out on August
Yeah,
30th.
yeah. I
I
don't
can't
know.
see Neil dropping out.
I don't see it right now. I think Neil is on a mission to put his plan out, and I think he's working towards the next cycle, and he's going to do whatever suits that purpose the best. And I don't see why he wouldn't do that. We've got. If I had one, and we need to wrap up, but
Yep.
if I had one suggestion to Sarah Venomitu's campaign is keep his answers shorter. He talks too long, and that's going to hurt him. Yeah. He's complete. He's very thorough. But
But if you compare Neil's campaign videos to Jeff's campaign videos, it's Brigitte, it's night and day.
yes, there's a lot more energy. So be more like in the video. That would be my suggestion.
Excellent. Be
There you
more,
go.
Neil, be more like in your videos.
All right. So we're going to keep watching all the things, and then we'll talk again next week about what we've experienced, and if there's more emails, or I don't know, anybody wants to share some secrets of their campaigns or what they're thinking about, you know where we are.
Okay?
Okay. Talk to you later.
Okay, bye.
Bye.